welcome back. If you are joining us right now, we're switching gears to a different conversation, and it's all about the Belizean Conde Nast top travel specialist. It's a mouthful. But in with us, we have the director and head of trip design, Patricia Johnson, to talk to us all about it. Good morning, Patricia.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
So, Conde Nast travel. Let's get into that first. Talk to us about what that means and what that means for Belize to be on their list.
So Conde Nast Traveler is a well-known magazine that is published all over the world. It has been in existence for over 30 years. And they created a list of top travel specialists many years ago where consumers can reach out to these specialists to help plan their vacations in these countries where, let's say, Conde Nast Traveler has a list of places you should visit in 2023, and Belize is on that list. They have a readership of affluent travelers who probably won't spend hours researching on a particular country to find the best guides, to find the best hotels. So they will look to a travel and leisure, a Conde Nast Traveler top travel specialist to help them with that. Belize was not previously represented on that list. So there may be a Central American specialist on that list that represents other countries. So if someone reaches out to that person and they say, hey, I'm interested in visiting Belize, but they're not on the ground, it's difficult for them to put together a very tailored experience for that person. So they may say, have you considered Costa Rica, because they know Costa Rica a little bit better. So it's good to have somebody from Belize to take care of those people that specifically want to visit Belize, or maybe have not thought of Belize before, but going through the list, they see, oh, there's a Belize specialist there.
Why was this demand important for Belizean tourism? Some would say, well, we've been doing well, you know? So why is this list important for us?
It's attracting a specific market. So it's attracting more luxury travelers. After COVID, the first people that were traveling were the people that had the money to travel. So we have had an increase in bookings, thankfully, after COVID, because of the exposure of being on those lists, but as well as because those are the people that wanted to travel first. And it was easy to get to Belize after COVID than it was to go to Europe. So that was important.
So you are the Belizean Conde Nast top specialist. Tell us about you. Talk to us about why you even began this venture. Why were you the champion for this? Why were you trying to get on this list for so long?
I have been in the tourism industry in Belize for 16 years. So I started in Cayo at San Ignacio Resort as a front desk person, and I grew from there. So front desk, guest services, reservations, sales, and I stuck with sales and marketing. And my passion is selling Belize. I travel all over the country. I love Belize, obviously, and I would like more people to experience what we have available here in Belize and not just on the surface. Because if you Google Belize, for example, if you Google a Belize vacation, the first things that pop up is the Blue Hole, which is nice, but and beach resorts, but there's more to Belize than that.
The inland destinations.
Exactly, and a lot of people don't know about our cave systems, our different cultures, so I try to showcase every aspect that Belize has to offer. So that is how I got the passion for doing what I do. And if you're in the travel industry, more than likely you have come across Conde Nast magazine, Travel and Leisure magazine before, but you may not know that there is a list of top travel specialists. However, being in this side of the industry where I'm now advising clients on where to go, what to do, making it on those lists it's a monumental achievement. There are advisors who work for many years to get on those lists. And as I have said previously, for the travel and leisure list. I was rejected. However, that made me analyze where I was and try to find ways to grow and offer better experiences to clients and try again. And here we are.
So I gather that there's some degree of competition or competitiveness involved in being considered within the top specialists or what have you. So it's been a journey for you to get there, notwithstanding having been rejected before. At this point, now that you've made it to that list, what are you looking forward to in terms of continuing to sell Belize to persons who can afford a certain type of travel and leisure in this country?
Right. It is, now it's staying on the list because it's not like, oh, you've made it and you can relax now. It is being on top of what's happening in the destination. It's still offering the best of the best experiences. It is, you have to renew, you have to apply every year. So you still have to be on top of your game. I don't take it for granted at all that we have made it on the list. I think that now that Belize is on the list, we have opened a door for other people to realize that this is a market that we can tap into. It doesn't have to only be North Americans or Europeans. We have the talent here as well, and in the Caribbean, which is also not very well represented on those lists. So it's doing more for the country, but also the region.
Are there other specialists in the country, or are you the only person who has this distinction?
In Belize right now, I'm the only person that is on those lists.
What was the driving mechanism that got you on the list? And I'm asking because you said you've been applying for years. So what was the thing that sold you onto this list this time around?
Well, we started off being on the Wendy Perrin Wow list, which it took us a year to get on that list because she herself tested us, came to Belize, had us do an itinerary for her, and we met her here. And then she tested us for a year, sent her best clients to us to see how we would perform. And it is working with the right people. So working with people who are also brand ambassadors, who are also Belize ambassadors, the best guides, working with the hotels who value true Belizean hospitality. And then from there, after being on the Wow list, we have tons of reviews on that site. So that helped us, boost us. And I attended a conference that was held by Wendy Perrin in New York and met a lot of other travel specialists from all over the world. And that conference helped me to understand that
Dynamics,
level of specialists more, and having that network helped me to achieve the Conde Nast traveler top travel specialist, because then you have more recommendations, then you understand what Conde Nast top travel specialist means and how you can get there. So that was the next achievement that I worked towards. And then this one, the travel and leisure.
Patricia, I have an activity for you. I do.
Oh my goodness.
So, sell me Belize in the best Conde Nast way that you can.
Oh my, you're putting me on.
Yes, sell me Belize. Tell me where I can go. Pretend I have a lot of money.
Oh my goodness.
Where do I go?
Okay, so I usually start with a face-to-face conversation on Zoom with my clients and try to find out who they're traveling with and what their interests are. So if you tell me you're interested in beach, I would say, are you interested in any adventure activities? Are you interested in any cultural activities? And talk about the Garifuna culture, the Maya culture, all of the different cultures in Belize, and say, if you'd like to stay at a beach resort and you want to have access to land and water activities and a little bit of culture, perhaps consider staying in southern Belize, maybe in Placencia, so you have the sunrise over the Caribbean Sea, you have the sunset over the Maya Mountains, and you have easy access to going into indigenous villages, the Garifuna Maya villages. You can go to Maya ruins, do some zip lining, hiking, waterfalls, but still have easy access to going swimming, snorkeling, diving, fishing, right at your doorstep. Sorry.
Wonderful. Okay, so we're in a Placencia, we're in an expensive, wonderful resort. And so you also recommend things like resorts and places to stay and so forth?
Yes,
Okay.
I do. And if you're doing a split stay, Cayo, you could go to Orange Walk, to Lamanai. So it depends on budget, who you're traveling with, what your interests are. But I do recommend all over Belize.
Okay.
How do you, okay, so there are various categories, if I may, of travelers. You have those who are on a specific budget and are coming as overnight guests. You have others who are wealthy or have enough disposable income to have a proper vacation, either come by cruise or come for an extended stay or what have you. Various types of persons visiting Belize. How do you tailor a particular package for an experience with someone who says, you know what, well, I'm not necessarily concerned about the overall cost. I just want to be able to enjoy Belize for the first time, and I want to be able to experience as much as I possibly can.
I do get that.
Yeah.
We have had a family recently that came to me with that. I don't mind how much money I spend, but it's a multi-generational family, but I want my kids and my grandkids to have the best time. And we're celebrating our anniversary. So they did the helicopter transfers, they stayed at the best villas, have butler service, but still went out and explored. So it's not about coming to Belize and staying at your fancy resort. It's also about integrating into the Belizean culture, and we definitely try to do that as much as possible. Because we're not an all-inclusive destination, and we're not trying to be an all-inclusive destination. So we want to ensure that some of the money that they're spending goes into the local communities. And they actually appreciate that even more than just staying in their nice villa with their private pool and their private butler. So when somebody comes to me and they say, I don't have a budget, but I want to have the best time possible, that is when you look for over-the-top experiences, like the helicopters, like the private villas and the private butlers, but still give them a taste of Belize at any destination they visit.
One of the things that Belize prides itself in is that you could find any kind of touristic activity pretty much anywhere.
Exactly.
Right? But even in local tourism, this is a problem in the aspect of getting from one destination to the other. So when people Google search Belize, they're like, oh, it's small. I could just, travel from one place to the other. If I want to go to Caracol, it's only 22 miles, so I'll get there in an hour. So how do you advise on these kinds of on questions and predicaments?
That is definitely something that comes up a lot. Is that Belize seems so small and it's easy to get around, and maybe I should rent a car. And not so. We have to bring up a map and explain how things are, and that you're going off the beaten path, and that you may not have cell service if you're going to Caracol.
Google Maps doesn't always work.
Exactly. So I do explain these things in my introductory calls with clients, and they do get a detailed itinerary. Every client gets a detailed itinerary that they can download on their phones and have with them at all times. So
You're working out of San Ignacio? Or where are you stationed?
I am in San Ignacio. We have an office in Belize City, and our team works remotely.
Okay. How have the bookings been since you've been on the Conde Nast Top Traveler Specialist?
It's been great. We have grown a lot, especially over the past 2 to 3 years after COVID. Since the airport opened after COVID, we have grown a lot since then.
And now that you're on the list, have you been receiving more and more bookings? How have you seen that balance or that I guess, have you skyrocketed in your bookings, or have you seen them frequently more so now?
Yes, the list definitely make a huge difference.
Okay.
And I'm waiting to see what the latest award will do, what Travel and Leisure will do. I'm sure it will be beneficial to us, but we have grown as a team over the past few years for sure. We started with just myself and my colleague Rachel doing everything ourselves, and then we have grown and we have added 2 to 3 more people to our team. So we have grown a lot since that.
Do you push for local tourism?
We do. I myself travel a lot with my family, and I have always advocated for traveling locally and for resorts offering Belizean rates all year, not just when you need to fill those not just when you need to fill those gaps, just offer it all year.
It's funny because we just had this conversation. I just had this conversation perhaps a few days ago, where some of us were saying, well, look, post-pandemic and with tourism being virtually where it was before the pandemic, Belizeans aren't catered to the way that we were when these hotels and resorts needed people to fill those beds during the pandemic time.
I have to agree with that.
Yeah.
I experienced it myself, so, and I've always been vocal about it on my social media page and with my partners. I'm like, you guys need to offer Belizean rates all year round, not just when you need to fill heads in beds in the low season.
So how do you captivate these kinds of issues? How do you put that into your work? And I ask this because even though I don't think Belize have a low season anymore with tourism, I travel a lot and I see people constantly coming in and out. So how do you then maneuver this new change in our tourism economy, and how do you also maintain that that presence of local tourism as well?
It has certainly changed. We have seen that even in our bookings. Summer is no longer low season, and we have to adapt with that. But at the same time, I will always advocate for Belizeans to travel. I am a Belizean. I like to travel. I want to have a good time but pay like local rates. So that we have to balance it.
Now that you're on this list, it's tapped you into a global network. Where do you see we would need to gravitate to advertise for more tourism in Belize? Where are those regions and areas where persons don't really come to travel here?
Toledo is definitely one that I think about a lot, where there's so much to see and do, but we don't.
But it's often forgotten, or perhaps undermarketed is often the case.
It's another world.
Yes, yes, it is. And I love going to Toledo. I love the cultural aspect of going to Toledo and all the natural heritage that is there. Driving around Toledo is probably one of my favorite things to do when I have time off. It's one of the things that I did for one of my birthdays was go to Toledo and just immerse myself in the culture there. Another area is northern Belize. So we often hear about Lamanai, but we don't really, we market it for cruise tourism a lot, but not necessarily for overnight travelers a lot. And of course, Corozal is also one of the areas that is forgotten a lot of times. So those areas are what we need to work on. I think the Belize Tourism Board is doing a great job with their new marketing campaign and advertising more of what Belize has to offer. So we'll see how that plays out.
What do you think we need then? What is necessary to create solutions to this problem? And I say that in the case of Lamanai, where you say we don't do it for overnight stay because there's no place to stay. So how do we solution that kind of problem?
Well, we do have somewhere to stay. We
Orange
have
Rock is
Lamanai.
nearby.
Yeah, we have Lamanai Outpost Lodge, and we have those hotels in Orange Walk. I think more investments in those areas, more infrastructural development, that will help more people to want to visit, because it takes so long to get from place to place. And that is one of the reasons why in the Cayo district, for example, Caracol is our largest Maya site in Belize, but we don't get a lot of visitors to Caracol
It's too
because,
remote.
and it's hard to get there. I know they're working on the roads now, but more infrastructural development and
Well, there is the Caracol Road, as it is called, but Caracol isn't on the roadside. You still have to come off the beaten path and
go
then
in.
go
Right.
several
Right.
miles in.
Right. And developing that area, you see how Tikal is a national park, and people that are staying in the Cayo district sometimes prefer to go to Tikal than Caracol, but we have something
Caracol is
awesome.
right there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think we should be exploring Caracol more.
Yeah. And you're talking about different parts of Belize that would need a little bit more boosting in tourism. I always think about a place like Dangriga, that we call it the culture capital, but we don't necessarily tell people to go do touristy things there.
That's true.
So how do you then sell a place like that, or how do you solution to these kinds of problems? How do you sell something like cultural tourism or heritage tourism?
That is one of the things that I also try to promote. You may not come to Belize first for the culture, but I always try to include some cultural aspects in an itinerary. I don't have a lot of clients that stay in Dangriga because, of course, there's not a lot of resort options there. So it will be more like a passing through itinerary or a day trip or something like that. So there needs to be more development instead of developing in the same areas over and over. We need to start looking at other areas.
If we're talking the inclusivity of cultural experiences, so we look at Hopkins, for instance, right, where you have, just as an example, you have Hamanasi, but then you also have Palmetto Grove that provides the kind of cultural experience, if you're into the Garifuna culture, the Garifuna experience, that is there for you. So if you look at that and then you look at Dangriga, which is only like 14 miles away, right? One would wonder why they haven't tried to see how they can,
work together,
assimilate something similar.
Yeah, it's true.
So you are a team of experts in the tourism industry. You made it onto this list. What's next?
What's next? We are constantly growing. For me, I would like to see more Belizeans tap into the travel trade industry. I know we have more travel specialists in the country. I know we have more people like me. And probably we should start an association or something and help each other out and try to make it bigger for Belize and the Caribbean, because I see the Caribbean represented by people that are not living in the Caribbean. So I'd like to see more of that.
Is there ever a concern that perhaps the industry altogether would become oversaturated? Because a lot of people at some point in their lives interface directly with tourism and dealing with tourists. Doesn't matter if you're in the restaurant and hotel industry, doesn't matter if you're an individual tour guide or operator or whatsoever. A lot of Belizeans are a part of this unique product.
Which is, and we saw that during COVID, how much it affected our economy and a lot of people in Belize. I think that is, we need to diversify our economy first of all, and that is something the government needs to work on. But in the meantime, Belize is still a young tourism destination. We don't want to go the route of mass tourism and over tourism, but at the same time, I think we still have a lot more to grow. And the way we do it is that we do private experiences so that it's not like we're selling one package over and over and you're going to the same places over and over. So for now, still when we go to Shenantonich, or when I go to Shenantonich, or my clients go to Shenantonich, you can still take a photo and there's not 1,000 people in your photo.
Yeah.
So that is, it's still great to see that, and we don't want to take that away.
Yeah.
But I think we have a sustainable development plan for Belize, and we need to stick to that.
How do you make each tour not like the other? How much planning does that take?
It is the partners that we work with, the ambassadors that we work with, the amazing tour guides that we work with that make the experience unique for every traveler. Because even though you have done, let's say you have been to Shenantonich 1,000 times, this is the first time that particular traveler is going to Shenantonich. So it's the way you feel out your travelers and realize, okay, I might do a little bit extra and take them to a local restaurant right after Shenantonich, or going to a slate carver right after the tour, where you can actually see the alignment of Shenantonich. So it's adding that little bit of extra touch and not just going to the site, doing a 2-hour tour, and then going back to the resort, which is why we use local tour operators.
When you consult with your clients and their first time coming to Belize, what's the one thing they ask for first? That's like the same amongst all of them.
Sorry?
What's the one thing that they all ask for?
What's the one thing they all ask for
Yeah.
in terms of what they want to do in Belize?
Yeah.
A lot of people, because we're Caribbean.
Beach.
Yeah, a lot of people
Blue
ask
hole.
for beach.
Yeah. They want to see the big blue hole. Just
Yes.
give them the little blue hole instead.
They want to see the blue hole, but they don't really understand
How to get there is a...
how to get there, what the blue hole is all about, what's the best way to see the blue hole. I'm not a diver. I don't snorkel a lot, but I want to see the blue hole. So how can I see the blue hole?
Aerial perspective.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So it's understanding their wants and their needs and trying to make that happen, but giving them that little extra.
Belize is a unique space, right? We have all of this Caribbean, Central American culture, the touch of beach and terrestrial sites. Notwithstanding all of what Belize has to offer, what sets us apart from everybody else?
Our people.
Everybody says that.
Our people. Our people definitely set us apart. We're very warm, welcoming people.
Receptive,
You don't find that everywhere else. It has to be our people.
Patricia Johnson, final words to our viewers. What should we be expecting from you this coming year now that you've made this list?
Expect to hear more about Belize on the international stage. Expect to just see more of our clients really enjoying Belize. Expect to see more affluent clients coming to the country and really immersing themselves in our culture. Be open, always be open and willing to share Belize with our foreign travelers and also our locals. Please remember to always remember the Belizeans that want to travel and experience the country.
Thank you so much.
Thank you too.
And with that, we're going to take our final break. We'll be back for wrap-up. Stay tuned.